Welcome to Just 15 Minutes, a space where leaders share the real practices that keep them steady under pressure. My name is Eric Bomyea, and today I'm joined by Christine Lustik, a consultant who partners with organizations to build resilient leaders, strengthen communication, and transform culture from the inside out. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you. So good to be here.
Before we start, will you join me for a brief drop-in?
I would love to.
All right. So I see that you're seated, so we're going to be in our seated positions here and take a moment. The eyes can be closed down or they can be open. Taking this moment to allow the body to settle. This drop-in practice really is a settling practice. The mind and the heart and the body are very often in motion. And so this is an opportunity for us to settle together, come into this space, come into this conversation together. I'm noticing a little tightness in my chest. So if it feels good, you can bring fingers and do a little tapping, whether that's at the chest or the cheeks or the forehead, just a little tactical awakening. And then going ahead and dropping the hands, and we'll take 3 breaths together. Joining me if you'd like, inhaling through the nose, and a gentle, soft exhale through the mouth. 2 more like that, in through the nose, and letting it out with a sigh. Last one, in through the nose, and as big of a sigh as you would like for this morning. Beautiful. Let's begin. So, Christine, you have worked with leaders and teams during some of the most stretched or emotionally charged moments, whether it's cultural change, DEI, or a breakdown in communication. Can you share a time that the pressure in the room was high and how you, as the facilitator, stayed steady in yourself while guiding others through it?
Yeah, definitely. I learned early in my career most of those moments are around supporting people, right? Deadlines, budgets, projects shouldn't be stretching us to the edge. There's the things we work on every day, but they're not the things that should throw us, like caring and supporting for other humans. I remember somewhat recently, I was working with an organization that had received quite low marks on their most recent culture report. So there was very little trust. Things weren't going well. And they determined to have listening sessions. And I was asked to schedule and lead those, working with the leaders to be able to provide these times for all employees to come on and be heard, really. And for me, um, that felt like one of the most important things I'd done in a long time, was to allow those employees to really feel heard, to create a space of trust and listening, and be able to relay information honestly, in confidence, without any of my own bias, as to what the employees truly felt, so that they could really be heard and changes could be made. I felt like that was one of the most important things I'd done in a long time, because many important organizations don't take those steps to truly listen.
I can imagine a situation like that with the catalyst being an employee survey where employees are voicing that there is frustration, right? The way that you show up, you said, like, you've got to create a trusting space that these employees can bring their fullness, they can bring what's really alive for them. And that can be scary sometimes because you're not exactly certain. I've been in those situations as an employee. I'm like, so what are you actually going to do with this information? Could this have an impact on me? And so I'm curious, in that moment, how did you stay regulated so that you could create that space for them to bring what I'm assuming were big emotions?
Yes, you are so correct. There were big emotions. So I knew I was going to be dealing with people who felt some frustration and resentment and wanted to express that. At the same time, they needed to be assured that nothing that it really was confidential, that there was no backlash, nothing was going to happen. So what was really important was that it wasn't about me, right? It was about those employees and how they felt and their ability. We've always all been in that place where we don't feel heard or understood, and how that builds resentment and frustration. And so how I regulated myself was through, before every session, I had my, what I needed to say to assure them this wasn't being recorded, names were never going to be used, like it was going to be couched in this way that would hopefully be as confidential as possible. But I really had to settle myself. I really had to. So I would take a good 20 minutes before every session of just meditating, settling my nervous system to be as calm as possible, to be as open and curious as possible,
Mm,
and to really remind myself that whatever big emotions came up, it wasn't about me necessarily. Like I didn't have to feel defensive. I could just be curious. Like, I wonder where this is coming from, and be able to ask follow-up questions. Or, my intention was for really every single employee to feel heard during that time. So to fully give somebody who chose to speak my attention and to demonstrate that they were really heard was my number one goal for every employee. Whether they chose to speak out loud, whether they chose to share information confidentially in a survey, whether they chose to put it in the chat, they had options for how they wanted to express. And I wanted each and every one of them. So I really worked on settling my nervous system into that open, curious state.
yeah. What I'm hearing is taking that time before a big moment, right? Like there was an awareness that this was going to be a big moment, and to bring your best self, to bring your fullest self, I'll say, and to be able to sit in presence so that whatever big emotion came up, you could compost that and stay present, curious, and not get pulled into the personal of it. And I think that is a beautiful demonstration of the power of present leadership. You are holding space, you are the leader in that room. And how you are tending yourself beforehand has an impact on those employees or for those people that you're holding space for. And so, how do you see that regulation impacting others? Like, what is the emotional shift that you sense or the emotional temperature when a leader comes in and is regulated?
Yeah, that's such an important question, because I think that speaks to the need of leaders to be able to have that ability to check into the room, right? They're not just regulating themselves, but they're checking in and they're noticing how what they bring affects others. And what I would notice is, for the most part, people came into those sessions guarded, right? They weren't, obviously they demonstrated through the survey there was little trust. And so coming into us, they weren't just going to trust that this was a safe place. So they came in guarded and resistant a little bit. And then as the session went, as I was able to demonstrate that I was listening, that I was present, that I was not biased, like towards leadership or whatever, I noticed a relaxing of the shoulders, a relaxing of the face, and really a relaxing of emotions. So that willingness to share things to the depth where there were tears or there was a trembling of the voice, because this was what was making their days miserable, right? This was what was keeping them unfocused and making them think about looking for another job. So that ability, that really sensing into not only the change in their physical statute, but also their emotional, and allowing those emotions to release, that was really, um, it was really heartwarming. And I really felt the weight of that, of being the person to hold that for them so they could feel heard.
Yeah. And what a beautiful moment for them to be able to do that. And I think what I heard that really set the tone was like, it's not this forced trust. I'm not making you trust me. I'm demonstrating through who I am that I am safe, that this is safe. And I hope from there that we can build mutual trust. And what it sounds like is that happened. And then from that mutual trust, people were able to be vulnerable. And you were able to see into their vulnerability. You could see not just how they were expressing or what they were expressing, but the physicality of what they're expressing. So, really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as we get close to wrapping up, is there a message that you would like to send out to anyone that is feeling a little overwhelmed or stretched thin? Maybe it's a new manager or a leader trying to do everything, or someone who's just saying, I don't have time to slow down. What do you want them to know?
Yeah. I think we all feel that way at times. I don't have time. I'm overwhelmed, whatever it is. And I certainly was that way. I was like, I don't have I'm too busy to meditate or to do what all the people say I should be doing. And yet, once I finally was convinced to meditate, I realized I didn't have time not to. So my invitation to leaders would be to do two things, whether some sort of practicing self-awareness in some way, whether that's a sitting meditation, whether that's a walking meditation in nature every day. There are options, whether that's a Qigong practice or a Tai Chi practice, figuring out that self-awareness. We can't tune into others until we know how we're being affected. And so that piece is really important. And the other thing I see over and over again from leaders is, especially new leaders, is that they think they need to do it all themselves. And I really encourage leaders and new managers to find a mentor, to know that you should have, a group, whether that's the women's leadership employee resource group in the company, or it's a group outside of the company for new managers or leaders, or it's a mentor you really have, somebody who you respect, who already has that self-awareness and is their presence, and you get that support.
Beautiful. Well, with that, our time is complete. It's
So
incredible
fast.
how quickly 15 minutes goes by, right? And how much presence we can bring to it, and I hope that this is a reminder to folks that, you know, presence ripples outward, and grounded leadership isn't just possible, it's powerful. So, with that, will you join me in closing?
Yes.
So, with any simple gesture of reverence, it's an offering of gratitude and appreciation for the teachers, the mentors, the guides who have shaped us and who have come before us, that have impacted us to be the people that we are today, so that we can go forth and impact those that come after us. With deep appreciation and gratitude, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me and reminding people that it is okay to rest, to reset, to regulate, because presence ripples outward. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Eric, for having me.